Brad shocked his mother with an unexpected call. "Mom, get a room ready. We're moving in with you." It was the first time in ages that he had called her himself. "Why me, son? What about your new supportive family?" she replied, surprised. "We've decided to leave Olivia's parents' place. It's time for us to be independent." Independent people usually rent or buy their own apartments at the very least. "Mom, do you want to start another argument?" Jessica didn't want to fight, but she also wasn't keen on living with him and Olivia. Just a year ago, she had tried to dissuade him from moving in with Olivia, but her efforts had been in vain. "Son, before you start a family, you need to learn how to take care of yourself," she responded immediately. "Mom, we're old enough to make our own decisions," Brad cut her off. That wasn't how she had raised him at all. After his father left when he was just 4 years old, Jessica had devoted her life to Brad, never remarrying despite several proposals. She had sacrificed her own happiness to ensure he grew up to be a real man, unlike his father. Until Olivia came along, Brad had always been close to her. The captivating green-eyed brunette had quickly taken control of his life. Within a month, she had him wrapped around her finger. "Let's spend the whole day together tomorrow," she purred. "I can't. I have important classes," he protested. "Are those really more important than me?" Of course not. For Brad, nothing was more important than Olivia. With her arrival, his academic performance had plummeted, which led to tensions with his mother. "Son, your personal life is starting to interfere with your education." "Mom, this is none of your business. Olivia and I can handle it." For the first time, he had spoken rudely to her. "Son, you just graduated. You should be focusing on your studies, not rushing into marriage." "Mom, I've said enough." Jessica had managed to teach him one thing. He always made his own decisions like a man should. Another attempt to explain that he was moving too fast resulted in an argument. "Unlike you, Olivia's parents support our decision and have offered for us to live with them. How nice that they're not concerned about the consequences." "Mom, that's enough. I'm going to live in a family that supports and loves me. That's all you need to know." After that conversation, Brad vanished from her life for nearly 7 months, clearly establishing his priorities. "Hello, Brad. I was wrong. You should decide how to build your life." Jessica finally broke the silence. "Okay, Mom, forget it," he replied curtly. "How are you?" "Everything's fine. Don't worry. I'm working for Olivia's father. She's finishing her studies." "You really need to apply to university this summer." "Are we doing this again, Mom? We agreed I'd make my own choices." Since meeting Olivia, Brad had become increasingly distant. Now that they were living together, he felt like a stranger to her. He hardly called, spoke curtly, and was rude if the conversation veered off course. Moving Olivia next to Jessica was a disaster waiting to happen. "Why are you so worried, Jessica? If they move in, it'll be closer to you, and you can have more influence on him." "The closer he is to you, the less control Olivia will have," her friend advised. "You're right. Olivia seems to dominate him, but I can?" Jessica's mind raced with possibilities. With newfound determination, she eagerly prepared her son's room and welcomed the new residents. "Come in, Olivia. Make yourself at home," she greeted her son's girlfriend with a warm smile. "And you as well," Olivia replied, unfazed. "Brad, wash your hands. Dinner's ready," Jessica called. "Thanks, Mom. We'll eat at a cafe. Don't worry." "Why at a cafe?" "Let's be clear, Jessica. We know you're not thrilled about us moving in. No need to pretend. We'll live here for a while and then go our separate ways, so our moving in doesn't mean we have to get along." "Don't be ridiculous, Olivia. If you're going to live here, at least act like decent human beings. There's no need to turn up your nose." "Mom, Olivia is right. We know you're not happy to see us, so there's no need to pretend," Brad interjected. "All right, son, have dinner wherever you want. I completely forgot that you're adults and independent now, Jessica replied, trying to diffuse the tension. She wondered how she could influence him when Olivia kept her at arm's length. Maybe it was wiser to be patient and wait for the right moment to present itself. From Jessica's perspective, Brad and Olivia's life was quite peculiar. Her son worked 6 days a week, while Olivia spent her time indulging herself, shopping, visiting salons, working out, and enjoying long walks. She had no intention of finding a job. "Olivia, have you graduated from college yet?" Jessica asked cautiously. "Yes, Jessica, I received my diploma in July," Olivia answered curtly. "What are your plans now?" "Nothing in particular. I'm perfectly fine as I am, so why change anything?" Jessica could only purse her lips in response. It was clear the girl had no intention of putting in much effort in life. "Son, wash your hands. I'll heat up dinner." One evening, she managed to catch Brad at home while Olivia was out. In her presence, he seemed disinterested in engaging with her. "Thanks, Mom, but I'll wait for Olivia." "It's not much fun to wait when you're hungry." "Okay, I haven't had your cutlets in ages, but I still remember how good they were as a kid." The conversation began to flow slowly. Jessica approached him cautiously, as if afraid to break an invisible bond. "Brad, why did you decide to move here? Was it an issue with Olivia's parents?" she asked gently. "I have a great relationship with them, Mom. It was Olivia who clashed with her father, so we had to leave. I don't think she'll get along with me either. Olivia can be a bit much at times, but overall, she's a great girl. You can trust me on that, Mom." "I've come to realize that, son." Just then, the intercom buzzed in the hallway. It was Olivia, returning home after a long and eventful day, having forgotten her keys. "Brad, are you ready?" "I've already eaten. If you're not hungry, we can just stay in and watch that movie," he replied. "Why did you eat without me? I thought we had a plan." "I had dinner with Mom. If you're hungry, you can eat here, or we can go to a cafe. If not, this conversation is over," Brad said firmly. Jessica felt a rush of joy. Was her son actually speaking up to his partner? Could he really set boundaries with her? And why do they always have to eat out? "Olivia, don't you enjoy cooking?" Jessica asked as she sipped her tea the next morning. "I don't like it. Besides, why should I cook when my man can afford to take us to a restaurant? Dining out is nice, but every man appreciates a delicious home-cooked meal made with love." "Jessica, we'll figure out our own living arrangements," Olivia snapped, clearly agitated. "I'm not trying to tell you what to do. Stop taking my words the wrong way. I only want what's best for you." Jessica couldn't help herself, and she regretted her outburst later that evening. "Mom, here we go again," Brad said with irritation when he got home from work. "What did I do now, son?" Jessica asked, confused about the conflict. "You need to stop interfering in our lives. If this keeps up, we'll have to move out," Olivia exclaimed as Brad silently turned and left the room. "I'm curious about what changes you plan to make," Jessica asked, sitting down in surprise. "Your apartment, Mom. Brad is your only heir. It would be nice if you shared your 3-room flat while you're still alive," Olivia chimed in. "I'll decide for myself who to share it with and when," Jessica snapped. "I didn't expect that from you, son," she added, glancing into Brad's room. The next day, Jessica waited for Brad to come home from work, ready for a serious conversation. "If you don't set your young lady straight, you'll have to move out," she declared without hesitation. "That young lady, as you call her, is my future wife, Mom. That doesn't give her the right to interfere in our relationship." "You're right. She said some things yesterday that she shouldn't have, and I reprimanded her. Can't you see she's using you however she likes?" "Using me how? Like a woman uses a man? No, son. Listen, you've always taught me to be a real man and take responsibility for those I care about. Son, that's not the issue. It is Mom. I fell in love with her, and I'm taking responsibility for her happiness, just like a real man should. That doesn't mean, yes, she's not perfect, but I love her and will stand up for her against anyone who tries to insult her." Jessica listened intently to her son's impassioned speech. How could she not see that he was defending the woman he loved? It was a shame that Olivia didn't reciprocate his feelings. Still, Jessica felt a sense of pride. She had raised a real man. However, that didn't change the fact that a big scandal was brewing in their home. "Olivia, we need to talk." Jessica entered their room without knocking for the first time. "We've already talked," Olivia replied, not bothering to look up from her phone. "Do you love Brad?" Jessica asked directly. "Yes," Olivia said, finally meeting her mother-in-law's gaze. "And I love him too. So let's find some common ground and improve our relationship. I'm not thrilled with you, and you're not thrilled with me, but whether we like it or not, we'll have to get along if you don't want to live in an apartment somewhere." Olivia definitely didn't want to live in an apartment. If Brad had extra expenses, they would have to cut back, and her primary expense was Olivia herself. "I'm not looking for any common ground. You stay out of my way, and I'll stay out of yours. We'll just live happily like that," Olivia shot back. "Then pack your things. I'll tell him to start looking for an apartment tonight," Jessica countered, playing a card Olivia hadn't seen coming. "You wouldn't throw your son out on the street." "You're mistaken, Olivia," Jessica smiled. "You can set the rules in your own home, but in this house, I'm in charge. You'll either follow my rules or leave," she snapped. "Fine, go ahead and dictate." Olivia had no choice but to accept her mother-in-law's terms. "First, stop snitching on me to Brad. If something bothers you, you come to me. After that, we can start treating each other with respect. And if I don't? If you don't, then you and Brad will pack your bags and look for a better living situation," Jessica declared, realizing she had found Olivia's weak spot. "Okay, fine, it doesn't seem that serious. We can try," Olivia reluctantly agreed. After that serious conversation, Olivia went quiet for a few weeks. It seemed she was attempting to change, but soon everything returned to normal. One evening, when Brad came home from work, he found Olivia packing her things. "What's going on?" he asked, anxiety creeping into his voice. Olivia turned around abruptly. "I'm leaving, Brad. I can't do this anymore." "What? Why? Let's talk." "What's there to talk about? I'm exhausted from the constant pressure, your mother's disapproving looks, and trying to meet everyone's expectations." Brad attempted to calm her down, but Olivia was resolute. She grabbed her bag and left the apartment in silence, leaving Brad completely bewildered. The following days turned into a nightmare for him. He tried calling Olivia, searching for her among his friends and his father, even visiting the police, but to no avail. Jessica tried to support her son. "Brad, maybe this is for the best. You saw that you weren't right for each other." But her words only fueled his anger. "Mom, this is all your fault. If you hadn't constantly pressured her and accepted her for who she is, none of this would have happened." A week passed, and Brad happened to run into one of Olivia's friends, who reluctantly revealed the truth. "Look, I didn't want to say anything, but Olivia went back to her ex. They left town together." This news hit Brad like a ton of bricks. He fell into a deep depression, started drinking, and stopped going to work. All of Jessica's attempts to reach out to him were met with a wall of accusations. "You drove her away. You were always against our relationship." One day, unable to hold back any longer, Jessica snapped. "Brad, wake up. She used you. If she really loved you, she wouldn't have run off like that, like a thief in the night." But Brad refused to listen. He packed his things and left the house, saying goodbye with bitterness. "Congratulations, Mom. You got what you wanted. Now I'm all yours again." Jessica was left alone in the empty apartment, bewildered by how everything had spiraled out of control. She tried calling her son, but he didn't answer. Months passed. Brad rented a small room, scraped by with odd jobs, and still couldn't forget Olivia. Jessica made efforts to mend their relationship, but every conversation ended in conflict. This story didn't have a happy ending. It illustrated how easily a family can be torn apart without mutual understanding and respect. When everyone pulls in their own direction, disregarding the feelings of others, everyone ends up losing. Brad, Jessica, and Olivia all suffered in their own way.